10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us on this fine Friday morning, March the 21st, 2025. Great to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us, and it's going to be a great show as usual. Getting off to a bit of a late start, pretty much as usual these days. It's just different things happening, but we get off to a start anyways. We're here between the hours of 7:30 and 8:30 weekday mornings on CKLU 96.7 FM. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca. And if you click on the Radio Player Canada app, you can stream us. If you download it, you can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We are also streaming on Facebook.com/Sudbury News and youtube.com/Sudbury News, streaming live. You can comment on both of those platforms. For the live, the conversation continues, however, only on Facebook after the show. I mean, you could leave comments in the YouTube comment section, but it's more of the conversation happens on Facebook. The show will be found on demand on those two platforms, along with x.com/Sudbury News immediately following the show. And then we've now introduced our weather portion. It's a standalone where we just clip out the weather portion of the show and leave that for people to see. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll try and make it a little more concise and quick. I don't know. People these days just need something quick. And anyways, we'll see what we'll do in the future with the show in general, and with segments of the show, but mainly we're looking at having you comment on and sharing your views on the news, because this is your conversation on your station, which is CKLU 96.7 FM. And just encourage everybody that, took part in Pledge Week a couple weeks ago, that Pledge Week is not just a week. It's just something to remind everyone that CKLU needs your support, because you are the you in CKLU. It's your campus and community radio station that's been around since 1984, and we hope to still be going strong many years into the future to allow for mainly free speech. Be able to have people from our community share their passions, their points of view, the things they've learned in their lives, and share it with others, which would just enrich others with things that they bring to the table. It's a very unique thing. Like, whether it's music that you are passionate about, you can have a show where you share your own music that you love and you want to share it with other people. You can have a music centered show. You can have a comedy show like our friend Clay Campbell on Saturdays at noon. Catch his show all the time when I'm traveling out and about, and it's really great. He does a really great job of bringing in a lot of, he usually has a theme. Well, he always has a theme, and then he has, some comedy bits around the theme, songs that are about the theme, and it's really cool show. So things like that. You get comedy, music, talk, if you just want to express your feelings about things, interviews. You'd have interviews with your favorite people. I have a good friend of mine who's looking at starting his own show, and he's doing a lot of the research now, getting a lot of people to interview that Sudbury centric, like people that have done really great things from in and around Sudbury, and interview them. So it's a really cool opportunity for everybody to utilize CKLU. And it's really important for free speech. The thing that we talk about that I'm not sure if everyone understands how important it is to be able to share your stance on something, your point of view, because everyone's learned something unique from anyone else. Everyone else has a little piece of the puzzle that someone else doesn't have. And if we go saying, you know what, I don't need your piece of the puzzle, then we miss out on putting the full picture together like you would on a puzzle. Like you're going to end up with missing pieces. So it's always good to allow others to share and listen to them and see if they might have one of those missing pieces of your puzzle that you're putting together for your worldview, for whatever it is that you're trying to connect some dots in your life. It's always good to listen. And so we'll share a couple local business owners. And I just found, just on their social media pages, it popped up on my feed, and they're just basically sharing their point of view on free speech. And it's really great. So they're local business owners, and I hope they don't mind me sharing them on the show. Well, they share them on Facebook, so I wouldn't think it would be a problem to share them on this show. So we'll have that coming up a little bit later. We'll deep dive into whatever the show kind of takes us along the way, because there's lots to talk about this election. That's a headline, right? Snap election. Going to be called from Mark Carney to be, I guess, done by this April or whatever. Isn't that pretty soon? So we had a snap election in Ontario. We heard many Liberals complaining about it, but this snap election from the Liberals, we'll hear Conservatives complaining about it, right? And that's just the way it goes. So nobody kind of holds themselves to account. We're all biased. You won't see the Liberals saying, why is Mark Carney calling such a snap election? Is he just taking advantage that they're higher in the polls now and it's going to be spring, so everyone's going to be busy with their spring cleanup and things and not really paying attention to an election? No, they won't be saying that because they're biased. And everyone is, right? So, and you won't hear the media really covering that because we definitely know where the mainstream media stands in that regard. So just wanted to bring that up so you can pay attention. Mark Carney expected to call a snap federal election Sunday. Sources say multiple Liberal MPs appear to be jumping the gun by sending campaign launch invitations to supporters. This is from the Sudbury Star. So one of our viewers yesterday in the middle of the show said, hey, did you hear, kind of thing? So we already knew about it yesterday, and now it's confirmed. It's confirmed that it's rumored that he's going to do it. How about that? So we'll be back with news headlines and more right after the weather. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show as usual because you make it great. We'll be back right after this. And weather brought to you by Voyager Tire. Great people, great products, great prices at the intersection of Falconbridge, Kingsway, 2nd Avenue. Walk in on their premises. Let them know that Sudbury News sent you. You get 10% discount on already discounted named brand price tires. Get a car wash while you're there. They just introduced that new feature in their services. It's currently minus 10 degrees. It feels like minus 16. Mainly sunny out there, increasing cloudiness near noon, and then a 60% chance of rain showers or flurries late this afternoon. So wonderful for everybody. Okay, wonderful for those driving, including myself. Perfect timing. They usually are able to do that just as I'm driving. That's when it hits. But that's great. I don't mind it. It keeps my driving ability and keeping my driving skills top notch. Wind chill will be minus 16 this morning, but today's high will be plus 3. Tonight, cloudy, 60% chance of rain showers or flurries this evening. Flurries beginning late this evening, then changing to a 60% chance of flurries overnight. Local blowing snow late this evening. And after midnight, snowfall amounts 2 to 4 centimeters. Wind gusting for about 50 kilometers per hour late this evening. And then low of minus 14, minus 17 overnight. So again, Winter just seems to be clinging on, although yesterday was the first day of spring. I did go back and research that, and it was on March the 20th. It goes anywhere from March 19th to March 21st any given year, but it won't be March 21st for any of the foreseeable future going forward. So tomorrow, 60% chance of flurries, high of -7. Sunday, still forecast to be sunny with a high of -2. Monday, -2, periods of snow. -1 on Tuesday, cloudy, and also cloudy on Wednesday with a high of -0. -1, chance of flurries, 60% chance of flurries on Thursday. And a look at your satellite with was clear, but a lot of these clouds are going to be rolling in, bringing us that forecasted weather. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by Voyager Tire. Great people, great products, great prices. Visit them online at voyagertire.com or walk in and let them know that Sudbury News sent you, and you'll get a 10% discount. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Okay, welcome back. Thanks for being with us, everybody. And as we are now on YouTube, a lot of people choose to join us on YouTube. They can watch it on their TVs, their smart TVs. And, you just go to YouTube and you punch in Sudbury News live, and you'll catch us on YouTube, which that's where Denise is joining us from this morning. Good morning from YouTube. Nancy's also on YouTube, along with the Northern Hillbilly just joining us for the first time yesterday. Thanks for checking in again. Much appreciated. I appreciate all your comments. Judy's on Facebook. Good morning, Judy and Monique. Good morning, Sudbury. Smiley emoji. Marianne, yes. Good morning, everyone from Barrie, liked and shared. As usual, blessings, everyone from Denise, who flipped on over to YouTube from Facebook. And Liette, good morning. Hand clap, everyone from Collingwood. Good morning, Liette. Hope you're having a good one these days. And Denise also says, you've been vaccinated. You're genetically modified. The doctors are interested in you now. Yeah, we have a whole segment coming up on that. I just have to make sure I got all my ducks in a row, and it's going to be a whole show dedicated to that coming up very shortly. I might not broadcast that one on YouTube. Don't need a warning because I know what they feel about that stuff already. So I'll just choose not to broadcast certain shows on YouTube because they're not all about free speech, as we know, as we'll be talking about in a moment here. Belinda, good morning. Maybe your path is harder because your calling is higher. Maybe your path is harder because your calling is higher. Never lose faith. We're all being tested during these trying times. Triple heart emojis. And with that in mind, weird the other day, and we talk about anything and everything on this show, right? And we really do want to get to the bottom of things and unpack what's going on in the world around us. And sometimes that you unpack certain things that certain people want to keep packed. They want to keep that duct tape, that packing tape really strong around that box. They don't want you unpacking it. And so, not sure if, anyone cares, outside of Sudbury about this show or what we talk about or who doesn't want something unpacked or whatever. But you hear stories about, getting visits from people in the dark suits and, telling you, hey, you're going to stop doing what you're doing. You're ruffling some feathers, or you're getting into areas that you shouldn't be. And, you got a family, right? So you want them to stay healthy, kind of thing. Wink, wink. You hear stories about that and you think, okay, yeah, no, I'm sure it happens. But it was funny that my wife received a mysterious package earlier this week that her name was spelled wrong because nobody can spell her name correctly, which is interesting. So if I had ever mentioned her name on the show, which I think I might have, and people might have even made comments with her name and more than likely would have spelled it wrong because nobody could spell it right. She receives a package in the mail with her name spelled wrong. And it didn't come from anybody. So it doesn't have a person's address that it came from. It came from a postal service location. So it just says sent from Mrs. Saga, station whatever. That's who it was sent from. And it's a game that's a really dark, evil-looking game. So isn't that weird? And who knows? I didn't look at it. She said, don't open it right now, just leave it there. And who knows if there's any mysterious kind of stuff in it, like they had, I don't know what you put in these packages. I don't know. But what was that? And what was that for? You know, I'll look at the game. I'm doing something really special, and I don't want to take away from that this weekend. But when I come back, I'm going to look at that and maybe share it on the show and see if you guys might have some insight into what message that was sending, because that's weird. And whether it was, how could it be a fluke anyway? How can somebody go send it to my wife's name that was spelled wrong to my address, to our address, by accident? So it was done on purpose. Someone's done this on purpose. So what we'll do is I'll get it. I'll maybe bring it for the show it to everybody, see if any of y'all might have an idea what that could be. And, you know, we'll go from there. But that's the thing. That's the whole thing about free speech. You go saying something and someone doesn't like it. And if they're in a position of influence or power or whatever, they can do things to you. And that's why people don't really speak up a lot of times. Look at Julian Assange and people like that, you know. It's just that's why they don't speak up. And the more and more we're in a world like this, the less and less, you know, the good guys are able to do their thing, because the ones that are willing to bully people around and use their power in negative ways are the ones who stay in power. And that's how they get in power, and they keep their power, and they use their power to stay in power. And if you're going to question that power, or they think you're a threat to that power, you got to go. You got to be gone. You know, and they're not afraid to do whatever it takes to get you gone. And that's the kind of world we are in. Like, what's the difference between the mafia and our current government, right? One makes the laws and one breaks the laws. And I think they're kind of merged together these days anyways. I think they're partners. So I don't even know if you have a separation anymore with that. That's my personal opinion, right? That's just my personal opinion. And I'd probably back it up. It wouldn't take me long, probably a day. And I can get enough evidence that I could get back on here the next day and prove it, right? Beginning with, not saying that it just started there, with the assassination of JFK. And that was a lot of that was to do with that whole, okay, government, mafia, we're at war here, so let's call a truce. And, you know, and then you start seeing, I think, a merging of the two. Why don't you just run for office? That way you'll be able to do what you need to do. We'll be able to do what we need to do. And it's in the best interest of everyone, except for the people. That's just my own little, I don't know, fantasy opinion, that without a lot of, you know, intel, I guess you could say. I do have it, but I got to work a full-time job. I have a family. I'm on boards of directors. I have things that I do that are busy. This is just a, you know, a volunteer show. And anyways, so I give it for those people who might be in the media saying, look, there, he's just sharing opinions with not backing anything up. So I say that's my opinion, and I'm a radio show host. I'm a talk show host. I'm not a journalist. I take the news that journalists are supposed to be journalists and write the stories, and then we talk about it on this show, just for clarification for anyone joining us for the first time. And Lorraine, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. And Vin, good morning. Good morning, Brian. Sudbury Patriots, Canada flag. Pat, good morning. Peace sign emoji. Nana, good morning. Blessings, everyone, with a heart emoji. Vin says, I used to search YouTube for Sudbury News, and you were always the first to come up in the feed. This morning, you were 6th. CBC, CTV appear first now. Well, no doubt they would, right? And I haven't for, you know, just to be devil's advocate, I haven't been broadcasting for the last 3 months either, and they got their algorithm. So whether that's a natural algorithm or what, but I was every single day broadcasting for a good 3 years, and it was still not coming up first a lot of times, even for me when I would go look at it. Sudbury.com would come up first for me, always did. And their stories were like 6, 7, 9, 10 years ago, which was weird. But anyways, it is what it is. Marianne, we will find out Sunday if they call the snap election. That's 100% correct. And they will just dissolve the redacted documents. That's all the government can do about things that they don't want anybody finding out about. Disabled Kane, good morning. Now, I'm not just going to read your thing. I got to read it first. Okay, so goodbye, Ireland, and soon to be the rest of Western civilization. Sanitizer. Well, goodbye, Ireland. Now, wasn't that McGregor there, Conor McGregor? He went to the White House and he had some statements to that effect, kind of thing, that Ireland is like on the verge of just total collapse kind of thing, and he's hoping that the United States could step in somehow and save them. So yes, I remember that, and wanting to look more into what's been going on in Ireland. Belinda says Carney does a photo op on skates and on the ice with the Edmonton Oilers, shoots and misses the net. Priceless. Kind of like Toronto trying to score on empty nets kind of thing. Even though they're multi-million-dollar paid athletes, I think Toronto Maple Leafs, just the last couple of games I've watched, they need to practice scoring from one end of the ice to the other on an empty net, because that's really frustrating. If you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, just watching them constantly miss the net when you're like, really? Really? If you practice that enough, you could probably get it down where you can hit the net, and they're in enough situations like that. It could mean, winning a playoff series or not. So come on, if anybody knows anything or knows the Toronto Maple Leafs or anyone there could get the word to them, start practicing that. Like just be on one end of the ice and have someone try and block you and get around him and then shoot on the empty net. But Carney, I guess, he's no help, missing as well in his photo op with the Edmonton Oilers. Northern Hillbilly, what would happen if a country was taken over by the mafia? Well, I guess we're witnessing it right now. Or we've been witnessing it over time. So Vin says the scandals become moot with the dissolved parliament. Well, yeah, it's all again, right? So what's the difference between the mafia and our government, really, if you watch the way that they handle things and how many scandals? I mean, my goodness, it's very mafia-like. Soon they'll be wearing it like it's a badge of honor. Look, we're the mafia government, We're like gangsters. They'll have their own rap songs and stuff. And they'll just wear it. Their opponents will go missing and it'll be cool. And they'll be like, come on, I dare the man to come and run against me. Let's go, kind of thing. That's what I foresee in the future. Because you might as well just come out and do it. Everyone sees it. Everyone knows it. You're so corrupt. It's crazy. And I don't know what else to say about that. Marianne says they should because he can't step foot in Parliament without a seat. Mind-blowing. And he can even do his duties. Man, oh man, people don't understand our political system. It's basically a hijacking. It's basically Justin Trudeau, you weren't able to do this. Step aside. I'll do it myself. That's what's going on with Carney. And they're calling an election a snap election because people are dumb enough to fall for it. And liberals are going to vote liberal no matter what. And they're going to fall for all the hype of, Pierre Poilievre is dangerous, like Mark Sette says. Poilievre is dangerous? Well, what do we just have? What do we have right now? That's not dangerous? I'd hate to see dangerous. Wow. Food banks, housing crisis, drug crisis, immigration crisis, you name it, crisis, we got it. And it was all in the last 10 years. And who was in power in the last 10 years? Give me a break. Brian, good morning. Blessings from Ontario. Shalom. Same to you, Brian. Thanks for being on. Canada flag emoji, prayer emoji, I can't see emoji, and a muscle emoji. Thanks for the emojis. Much appreciated. Disabled Kane says it already has been. It's called the government. Yes. The mafia government. Okay. Trevor, good morning to you. Remember how you could question anything about COVID crisis without being attacked by the propagandized horde? Well, the identical circumstance applies to the immigration crisis. What a neat coinkydink, huh? Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so we couldn't talk about, all of the measures that the governments were taking during the last 5 years or so, because everything was a conspiracy theory. We're spreading misinformation. The fact that Sweden didn't lock down and they had way better results than anyone else. You talk about that and, you're taking off Facebook and on YouTube, and YouTube will always, if you talk about climate or you talk about immigration or you talk about the the solution to the COVID stuff, you talk about that, they immediately put this banner underneath saying, basically, this person is spreading misinformation and this is the truth. So click on this. The WEF says this, the WHO says that. Like these globalist NGO organizations and things, whatever they say, is the truth somehow. And Google and YouTube are showing that they side with that they don't want really the truth. They just want what these globalists are telling us. That's it, because they're part of the whole thing, right? They're the worldwide video sharing platform, and they're the worldwide search engine. So they're right in there with everyone else. They're part of that whole thing. It's globalism against the United States right now. That's what we're seeing in the world. Just to narrow it down for everybody. Marianne, LOL, right? Think they have jinxed them. Apparently, the Oilers lost the game. Yeah, Carney was on missing the net for a photo op for sure. Okay, so good morning, Andrew. Thanks for being on. We're going to just get to a couple local businesses talking about the importance of keeping our, freedom to share our points of view, freedom of speech, right? And how important that is. And again, this was just on social media in the last couple of days, and I just wanted to share. And I'm not sure, do I have to do this again for the third time? Yeah, I do. I have to refresh the page 3 times in order for it to refresh once. Not a problem. Working really good. Okay, so, and we'll eventually get to, there it is. Let's start off with Robert Provenche. He's the owner of Westmount Photography. Again, just a friend on Facebook, and he's just walking to get his coffee in the morning. And he's like, you know what? I just want to talk about freedom of speech because we're seeing all this stuff happening in our world today that we see. Just it's common knowledge that it's being threatened, especially here in Canada. So anyways, we'll share this with everybody. And then we have another local business owner sharing their, look at that. Okay, well, I guess can't share his right now. I don't know what's going on. So we have another local business owner here. Right here. the owner of Local Jerky Plus. Let's see if his rant will come in talking about freedom of speech. Because obviously, Robert Provencher's wasn't able to load, and you can see how this works, right? The sound won't be on. He'll start talking a while. There's nothing going on here. I can't do anything. This happens all the time. Look how long this is taking for me. Anything. Oh, now it just came up that we could start hearing them 12 seconds in, 16 seconds in. Now you got to go back, and then you can hit this, and now we could watch it. That's very frustrating. I mean, I don't know how these platforms do these things. Anyways.
Hey guys, Sean here from Local Jerky Plus. Some of these guys, give me a flack on my opinion based on Pierre Poilievre in regards to electing for Prime Minister. I want to be very clear here, guys. I have a beef jerky page that I've created since day one out of my house, a company since day one out of my house to where I'm at today. My opinion, my views, sure you can say shouldn't be on my social media page. Unfortunately, it's my opinion, okay? And I can do that if I want. It's my choice and my opinion. Just like you guys for commenting, it's your choice, it's your opinions. I'll tell you one thing. I don't go on other people's Facebook pages personally and bash them based on their opinion. If somebody was a liberal or whatever it may be considered, that's your opinion. So you got to remember, folks, in Canada there's something called the freedom of speech and an opinion. I know a lot of these guys stop at personal messages saying, I'm going to be shut down based on my opinion. That's absolutely insane. So you're stuck in a trance where you're scared to actually be human and speak up. So I'm me. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And if you don't like it, in all honesty, there's competition out there that you can definitely support as well. It's simple as that. I'm a straight shooter. I've been since day one. I appreciate a lot of people personal messaging and posting on the pages saying what I do for the community and stuff. Not everything you see that I do for the community is always posted. But I'm just trying to be very transparent here, guys. It's my Facebook page. Simple as that. So if you're bashing my opinions, what I'm using on social media, you're actually using my Facebook page to make for your own opinion. So it doesn't matter if it's a business or not. We all have an opinion. We all have a right to speak. So you can say that. But what I'm getting at here, you're following me on Facebook to say negative stuff based on a picture of Pierre Poilievre that I think is a right candidate. Regardless if you're a liberal or whatever it may be, that's your opinion, you're right. So guys, stick to that. Remember, we're Canadian. We all have to fight for each other. And that's that. Your opinion, my opinion. Cheers.
I was all but 22.
I know everyone would probably want me to keep playing that song because it's pretty popular, and everyone's probably like, hey, yeah, he's going to play a really cool song this morning. That's another frustrating thing with that feature on Facebook. So you click on it, and it doesn't allow you to turn the sound up for 16 seconds or pause it or anything. But before you can even stop the video from being playing, the next one plays right away with sound. Like, it's almost like they don't want you to use this feature, on any shows or whatever. It's almost like that, right? Anyways, wasn't that refreshing to hear from a local business owner just sharing that point of view? Doesn't that make you just want to support that business owner and their business? Very integral, right? Let's try Robert Provencher again and let's see. Oh, looks like he's coming in now. He wasn't able to come in before, but we got to mess with that same thing of waiting for the sound to come on. Okay, it finally came on now. Okay, there we go. All right, so 5 seconds in at least. It's getting better. So this is Robert Provencher. You might remember his business, Westmount Photography. They've been in Sudbury for quite some time. And really great photographer. And so let's take it away, Robert Provencher.
Morning. Here's a thought, something to ponder, something to peruse. Why is freedom of speech so important? Well, it's really simple, because words are the things that connect the highest order of things. They are the things that connect us to the infinite truth that encompasses all. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's true. Words are vital, and if you try and control them, if you try and subjugate them to laws and restrictions based on your own ideologies or your own ideas or whatever, you restrict their flow. Think of a log jam in a river, or any kind of a jam, an ice jam, any kind of a jam. I have the firm belief that words encompass truth, and truth will always rise to the top. You know, it might zigzag, it might get jammed up once in a while, but words are important. Words are the things that the energy, the links in the chain that connect ideas, and ideas represent truth. So yeah, it's kind of a weird esoteric talk. I know, but it's all I got. So as I'm walking over to Starbucks on a Wednesday morning in the end of March, the snow is melting, I just get these thoughts, and I wanted to share them with you. Something to think about. And for some reason or other, amber lights are now flashing. So words contain truth, something to think about. And okay, one final thought. If you're wrong, you get to discover that you're wrong through the free flow of words and the unrestricted flowing of words. If you're controlling it, you're delaying the process. You know what I mean? Does that sound weird or what? That's what I got. Okay. Here I am. Gonna have.
Better pause that right away before we get into the next video. And got to be on the ball with this, playing these Facebook clips. Anyways, isn't that refreshing? Isn't that extremely refreshing to hear two local people just happen to be pretty much on the same day or a couple days, one day apart, talking about what they believe is important for us these days, and that's freedom of speech and like a little advice if you get offended all the time. Like we live in a society where this idea of being offended, it's almost like criminal if you offend somebody. It's like you've committed a criminal act. Hate speech, you're inciting violence. It's like, what? They're trying to change the fact that language is violence, Then that, if you're saying language is violence, then you're saying there's no free speech. Because you can't police it. Well, you can, but that's the kind of world we're going to end up with, is this tyrannical, Orwellian, just dictatorship world where you do as you're told or that's it, and that's where we're getting. That's the kind of world that a few people in the world that stand to gain everything want for you and I. There's a few people in the world who stand to gain everything because you'll own nothing. They say, and you'll be happy by owning nothing. Can you imagine owning nothing and being happy? Imagine, you worked really hard to eventually get a goal that you wanted to get a specific car you've always wanted your whole life. You had to work 3 jobs and you finally saved up enough. I know you can get payments these days and stuff, but you finally were able to afford it. And then someone just comes right away and says, oh, no, you don't, no, you can't own this. It's mine, but you can be happy while you're driving it, but it's mine. It's not yours. You can't own anything. They take away everything you have, so you can own nothing and be happy. That is the WEF slogan to which Mark Carney is on the board of. He's one of the contributors. He's one of the main people in the World Economic Forum, which believes that. And now he's your unelected prime minister. And you can expect there to be a lot of crazy stuff going on in this election coming up. And it'll probably be stolen. I'm going to go right out and say that already. His own Liberal appointment to be the Liberal leader was questionable at best. There was 400 people who were eligible to vote, and only 100 and some voted. Chrystia Freeland only got the single-digit support in her own riding, and the same with Gould. They only had low single-digit supports in their own ridings, the same ridings that elect them time and time again. So that's only one small example of how there was some nefarious stuff going on in the election of him even becoming the Liberal leader and your prime minister. So, and it goes on and on. And good morning, Sheila from Quebec. Good morning, Hazel. Thanks for being on. You're late, but that's fine. I'm late every morning. Okay, so we just want to get your comments up on the screen. For those who've commented, and there's been some ranting going on today. We started a little bit late. I apologize for that. But yeah, I think the truth is going to come out a lot more. And I've never heard so many nicknames for a guy so early on in his political career. Like he's like Carnival Carney, Carbon Tax Carney, Carnage Carney. There's all kinds of nicknames for him already, and I think a lot of them are fitting. And the Carnage Carney is, I think, right, because if you look at what the former Prime Minister of England was saying about what he did to their economy, I mean, it's crazy. She just said, you can't trust this guy. He will pulverize your economy, period. Right? And I'm wondering, I don't think I shared that, and I should have shared that last night to get this on the show, but she's totally like, you cannot have this guy. She doesn't trust him one bit for what he did to the British economy as he was their head of their bank, right? Banking system. But let's just take Carney's words himself. Like, let's not just say it and people, they don't want to take my word for it. Let's just take it from Carney himself, what he said about himself and trusting bankers.
What advice would you have for the youngster?
Going to a central banker for political advice is never a good idea.
Come on.
Right? What did he say?
What advice would you have for the youngster?
Going to a central banker for political advice is never a good idea.
Come on.
Going to a central banker for political advice is never a good idea. So that's what Mark Carney has said to us, and I wonder what made him change his mind on that. First of all, he was advising our former prime minister, so taking advice from a central banker is never, political advice from a central banker is never a good idea, he says. Right? So he himself said that. We're not putting words in his mouth. And now my computer is getting really bogged down for some reason, but it is what it is. I just thought everyone should know that. You're going to start hearing all kinds of stuff, and there's going to be all kinds of messy campaigns on the TV, and all the strong, staunch liberals, which Sudbury is full of, NDP liberals. That's all we can do here all the time. We just can't see anything any other way, I guess, voting wise. And it was looking like everything was going to be going conservative, and I was totally confident that Nickel Belt and Sudbury, for the first time in history for Nickel Belt anyways, that they were going to vote conservative for sure. But now the Liberals feel emboldened all of a sudden with this new unelected leader, banker, central banker, WEF globalist that was installed to be your ruler and your dictator, is somehow a really great idea for Canada. And they're not going to really see who he really is, because there's not going to be enough time for that cognitive dissonance to kind of the fog to dissipate in their minds. And especially in this area, they're all going to feel emboldened and vote for him. And you're going to get what you're going to get. And I guess we're just going to say, well, we tried telling you. That's all we're going to say. We did everything. I'm doing everything I can every single day to try and educate, to try and do the best we can. And with a group of people who are doing the same, there's going to be no excuse for us if we go ahead and vote this Liberal government in for a fourth term. And we're going to do our best to expose what this really is going on in Canada. It's a coup. It's a takeover from the globalists. They already had control through a puppet, but now they're just taking control firsthand. And one of their people are just taking over. It's similar, like I believe that George Herbert Walker Bush was responsible for the death of John F. Kennedy. He was the head of the CIA at the time, and they were the only ones who had all the resources to be able to pull that off. So it was similar to that, where they were like, okay, we got puppets in that are doing what we're telling them, but as soon as they stop doing what they're told, they have to be taken out, whether they leave freely or they refuse and they get taken out by getting taken out, you know what I'm saying? Like John F. Kennedy. And then look who becomes president shortly after that, right? George Herbert Walker Bush, the very guy who was responsible for the death of JFK, being the head of the CIA at the time of his death. And there was no one, now again, I don't care if you don't believe that, doesn't matter. There was nobody who was able to orchestrate something like that. No one was in the position to do that other than him. Nobody was in the position to do that other than George Herbert Walker Bush. Then he becomes president himself, and then his son becomes president. It's the very thing of, okay, guys, we can't trust anyone else to do this. We got to do it ourselves. So they step into the position. And again, they need the power. There's too much at stake for them. The power that they have, if it's ever threatened in any way, shape, or form, you're gone. If you're threatening it, like you're gone in some way. Either your bank accounts are frozen, gone, or you're publicly shamed, gone, or you're fired, gone, or you're gone. They'll do whatever it takes to get you gone, because they stand everything to lose. Right? And they're not going to let some serf threaten their power and their authority and their wealth. And just look at the conflicts of interest in this man who's being installed as your leader. They are very extensive. There's extensive conflicts of interest. And it's just basically shouldn't be allowed by law, but they're doing it anyways. It doesn't matter. And so for people to actually vote, like it's one thing for them to steal an election, okay? But if you're actually voting for them too, and you think it's the right thing, it's just, my goodness, shame on you, I guess. And I'm not publicly shaming anybody for their point of view. Like we're just talking about freedom of speech, right? If you think Mark Carney is the guy and all these things are just false that are being said about him, welcome you on the show. I think you'd be great to have you on. Like that's how much I'm welcoming not only your comments as I'm getting them all up on the screen here, but you can actually come right on the show and talk face to face, or be a guest in your own living room and come on via your webcam and we'll have a discussion about why you feel Mark Carney is giving a bad rap here on the show, and that no, he's a really great guy, and he doesn't have any conflicts of interest, and even though he's on the board with the WEF, he has Canada's best interest in mind, and even though he's only lived a third of his last 35 or so odd years in Canada, that it still qualifies him as being the prime minister of this country, right? And even though he considers himself European and not Canadian mainly, that's not a problem to be our prime minister. Things like that. Like, I have no problem, having a really great, respectful conversation with you on that. So thanks, everyone. That's all the time we got for today. We'll be back same time, same place, God willing. Well, probably on Tuesday. We might have to take the day off on Monday due to an appointment. But if I can bring my equipment with me and get it to work, I will come on the show, I promise, on Monday. But more than likely, we won't be back till Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Love y'all. Stay strong. Remember to continue to stay aware. Like, share, take care. We'll be back same time, same place, on the same platforms, God willing, on Tuesday. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Ciao, everyone.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.